In all my years of policing, I have worked pretty much every Caravana event and a handful of pride parades. Now, during those events, the Toronto Police made sure all of his officers were fed, hydrated, and rested. Now, that's very important when you're working 12, 15-hour shifts out there when it's 30 degrees. We had manpower also from multiple police services like the OPP, Durham, Peel. And the Toronto Police used to have the main floor of all the hotels downtown decked out with food, snacks, and water. So any of us could just walk in, get hydrated, cool, have some dinner, and get back out. And as the years progressed, the food, rest, and hydration seemed to be not as important to the Toronto Police anymore. The last caravan I worked a 17-hour shift. It was a shit show. Shootings, drugs, and fights all night long. I didn't get home till 6 in the morning. Now here we are in 2025, under the strict management of Chief Demkiw. It seems like the party is over for the officers working at these events. Now here's the propaganda for the public to see from Chief Myron Demkiw. And this was posted on the Toronto Police Facebook page.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.
We're down here in the village at Church and Wellesley at our command post. Our officers have just been paraded and gone off to their duties. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Pride Toronto, our City of Toronto partners, and our planning team who have worked so very hard to pull together the plans necessary to make this weekend a safe weekend. We are prepared. We have officers deployed throughout the village for the weekend, and we are ready. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all of our members who are working this weekend here in the village and on Canada Day. Thank you for what you do each and every day, and thank you for this weekend. And I'd also like to acknowledge the members who are working across the city this weekend, keeping our city safe. Thank you. We really appreciate what you're doing and wish you the best this Pride weekend and happy Canada Day all.
So before we start the video, I just want to point one thing out. These are the gentlemen from the Toronto Police Association, and I think in order to be a steward or to work for the Toronto Police Association, you must wear brown leather shoes. So it seems like there is trouble brewing within the ranks of the Toronto Police. Out of the 7,600 active members within the Toronto Police, I still have people that like to send me info that the public would never, ever get to see. It's called internal mail. The Toronto Police sends every officer an email with information, and they aren't allowed to share it with the public. But I have a copy. So when I received this little gold nugget, I had to laugh to myself. And I'm surprised it took this long for cops to speak out on the management within the ranks of that zoo. The Toronto Police Association were flooded with unhappy members having to work the Pride Parade over this weekend, 2025. And over the weekend, temperatures hit a whopping 36 degrees. Now, when you're wearing a polyester monkey suit like they do, a bulletproof vest, and all that crappy cheap gear they give you, you tend to sweat and get dehydrated. It's also heavy as hell. And a break once in a while would be nice, right? Well, that's wrong, according to the Toronto Police Association. Now let's see what they had to say. Now this was sent out to every single member of the Toronto Police Service. It was sent out Monday, June 30th, 2025. And I'm going to read it to you. And we're going to get into the actual meat and potatoes of the email in a second. But it starts off by saying, thank you to all of our members who worked this weekend, and they're referring to the Pride Weekend 2025. Now, whether you were directed to staff the Pride festivities on an RDO exchange, were scheduled to work at your division, or were brought in on a callback. We appreciate your efforts. Your Toronto Police Association directors were out all weekend, visiting frontline members and listening to concerns about the special events staffing plan. We are still gathering the information, so it's important that we have as much detailed and accurate information as possible. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Here's a summary of issues we've learned so far. Now, the first point they make, they say, thankfully, calls for service in most divisions did not reach a critical point. But there were notable staffing shortages in some divisions. Now, get this. 31, 32, 33, and 52 divisions are extremely busy, and a lot of shootings happen there. And they were all below reasonable levels. And in some cases, only 10 officers were available to answer calls for service. 10. While everybody prances around naked downtown, the rest of the public in Toronto have to wait on calls for service because of a stupid parade. Now, this is where it gets interesting. The second point here, it says, to accommodate low staffing levels in some divisions, members were called in and given a call back at premium pay, which is their full pay, while those directed to the event were given the RDO exchange. This is unacceptable and will form part of our ongoing policy grievance. So they're going to log a grievance against the Toronto Police Service. This is a big deal. In 51 Division, at the heart of the event, there were upwards of 30 to 40 calls pending at points during the weekend. Now, for people who don't understand what pending and all these terms mean, which means that there's 40 calls that haven't been answered, that just basically are put in queue because of this parade. And I wonder what the wait times are for those people. For members directed to work the event, we've learned some are relieved early without a full tour of duty, which means they go in for their shift, they're cut early, they're told to go home early, but they don't get paid for the full day. And other officers worked up to 16 hours. Some officers worked full 12-hour shifts with no relief provided for food, water, or washroom breaks. Now, how is that legal? Does that not go against workers' rights? And police officers, lawyers, doctors, whoever, you need a lunch break. So these guys are working, sweating, without food, water, or washroom breaks. Because a lot of times, you're not allowed to leave your post. But let me guess, Chief Demkiw and all his white shirts were probably at home having a cold beer in an air-conditioned house. And those who were given breaks quickly learned that there was no food or water available at the mobile command post. So they didn't even buy their members water to drink. Now, how much of a pathetic, disgusting service is this? It's not even a service. It's unbelievable. And then it goes on to say, the last line here, now during the overnight hours, they received reports of no wagons available after 10:30 p.m. to transport arrests. So if something critical happened where they had to arrest, multiple people, they usually send down or have on scene the paddy wagons that they can transport multiple people to the divisions when they've been arrested. But they didn't have any of those. Oh man. Unbelievable. Everybody knows I have a bit of a hate on for the Toronto Police. And it says in here at the very bottom, if you're working this weekend and have any information related to these issues or experienced an issue not listed here, either at the event or at your home unit, please contact Ron Tate of the Toronto Police Association. And I highly recommend you guys do, because especially the new people out there, if you let this go, it's going to keep happening and getting worse year by year by year. And especially with this buffoon who we call the Toronto Police Chief. As long as he's in charge, guys, this is the way the Toronto Police are going to be treating you. Good luck with that. And Chief Demkiw, hot dogs are so cheap nowadays. It only takes a cop 2 seconds to eat it, and they can get back to work. Smad Lab Press. I'll see you on the next one.